Everybody, thanks for watching. Merkabah Scholar Society members, make sure you guys check your emails. The second Amazon course video is out, so make sure you guys check your emails. You should have that video. First video, we got into a lot of information. The second video is a lot more ways for you guys to make money using not just the course, but a lot of the wholesale opportunities I showed you guys. A lot of gatekeeping information I put in that video, so make sure you guys check your emails for that video. Also, for people who inquired about Merkabah Scholar Society, we are in the final phase. We are actually done the final phase, to be clear. So you guys still have an opportunity to join. The link is in the description. There are multiple payment plans for you guys to take advantage of. So make sure you guys grab it before it goes up to 500. I'm only putting it off a little bit longer for a few more days. So make sure you guys take advantage of it now. Links in the description. It's not too late to get in, but soon it will be. So take advantage now. So yeah, I want to get into this video, but first, a lot of people are asking me questions. I don't understand what's the whole hang up on the Diddy situation. A lot of people are more fascinated about that than the presidential election because people starting to see a lot of stuff come out about it, as far as like, Diddy being a clone, that bullshit. The information about the liquor company, what happened with Ciroc and him suing those people. And there's a lot of information going on around about that. So people really wanted to know what I thought about it. And it's like, a lot of people look to him, especially black folks, because, Diddy's black. We had so much fun with a lot of the music growing up. And he's been a major figure in the visualization of the black entrepreneur, like what a black man can do and how high he can reach and how successful he can be. But it's still the entertainment industry, which is largely controlled, of course, by Europeans. So we don't own that industry, as I always talk about. And it's been part of the destruction of the black community. I would say the main destruction of the black community, and what's basically influencing the minds of black people to do what we've been doing in the black community. What you guys have to realize about Diddy, and it's not going to be clear, but I'm going to make it clear. One, Diddy was chose to do this a long time ago. You got to think about it. And when I say this, I'll get into that in a second. You got to think about it. One, if it's about white supremacy, we can see the racism, we can see the control. Again, why would they pay these artists millions of dollars to rap about the destruction of the black community? To rap about getting money, selling drugs, fucking bitches and all that? Why would they pay these black people millions, making them multi-millionaires, generational wealth, all that, for just rap? It has to be deeper. So when you understand deeper, one, that music is keeping the black community exactly where it has been for decades. What has hip hop music done to uplift the black community? Please tell me. Black community is still the same. It's the same way it's always been, the same way it's been since I've been young. My neighborhood I grew up in is still a mess. And it's the same for most of you guys. And there's gentrification going on. So a lot of these neighborhoods is basically getting turned over and made more expensive, so black people can't afford to stay there. We're being pushed out in a lot of cases. But for the most part, the black community is still the same. So you got to think about it. One, if you know you're going to be completely changing hip hop music, right? Because one, you had black people who was putting out uplifting, conscious black music, mainstream. Diggable Planets, Lauryn Hill when she was doing her thing, Jill Scott, and so many artists that was putting out good music. Public Enemy, Fight the Power, revolutionary hip hop. They understood, one, the power of music and how we would unite around it if we were allowed to control it. So of course, they're going to put something in place to control it, right? That was Diddy. That was his job. You got to think about it. All the allegations that was coming out, it's been coming out since Tupac was alive. He was talking about Diddy doing this stuff a long time ago. So they had to put somebody in charge that's basically going to control these black folks. And that's been him, and it's been Jay-Z and others that's been put in that position. It's very obvious. Somebody has to be black at the top of that the control of that. Because if it's the white man, we'll just all point to the white man and say, hey, he's trying to make me do this, and there'll be a white face on it. And it'll be easy to see the enemy. Same stuff they always be doing. Same stuff I've been talking about for years. They always hide behind something so they can never be revealed as the true evil person or the true people at the top of what's going on. So Diddy was picked to do this stuff a long time ago. And obviously what's going on is they're getting these black artists in compromising positions so they can basically use it as blackmail tactics. And you got to think about it. I mean, come on. Diddy's supposed to be a billionaire, right? I know he got money, but you're going to pay rappers, these artists, millions of dollars for sex, for like if you're gay or bisexual, he can easily get a bunch of gay men, a bunch of bisexual men who are not hip hop artists to do whatever he wants. He can pay them, and probably for the most part, they'll do it for free. So why is it that you're going after specifically these hip hop artists to do supposedly these gay sexual favors for fame and fortune, what have you? Why artists? So if that's your twist, you can do that behind closed doors with a bunch of people that look better than a lot of these artists that's into that type of stuff, right? So what is that about? It's about what we've been seeing. One, getting this stuff on video, getting the tapes together, and having it as blackmail tactics for a lot of these artists to keep their mouth shut about what's really going on in the hip hop industry. Because if you're conscious and you're black and you're in the industry, you go into these labels with all these uplifting, cool, dope black songs, you're seeing how the industry is working and that they're using their power and influence to basically control the image of black people. And this is what you would see. You would go to these parties, you would hear stuff. These artists know what's going on the inside, and they had compromising things done to them to where they had to keep their mouth shut, right? It's the same thing. Why are we not talking about the black women? Why are we not talking about women, period? Because I'm pretty sure they had to do some sexual favors to get in positions that they are in the entertainment industry, but nobody's talking about that. So you mean to tell me, Diddy, he just got millions of dollars to throw away to get some man ass? It don't make sense when he can get that without, messing with an artist, right? So you would think about it, okay, yeah, you do some sexual favors for a record deal. Well, wait a minute. I thought the label is supposed to benefit from the artist as well, right? You sign this artist and you benefit from this artist's success. You put money for this artist to be successful. You benefit from it as the label as well as the artist. It's give and take. What does the sexual part got to do with it, right? So again, it's for them to have those tapes and have these people in embarrassing, compromising situations to where they can keep them quiet, keep their mouth shut. More people are appalled about the sexual accusations than the lyrics itself. And that's the crazy part. That's how messed up they got. It's like, y'all not disturbed by what this music is doing to the black community, but you disturbed by rumors and allegations of what two grown ass men is doing in their personal sexual life. It's the dumbest shit ever. The music is destroying. It's the music, the lyrics. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about them talking about black people killing each other and disrespecting black women and all the violence and craziness that we can trace to the violence we see in the black community. They don't want to talk about that shit. Y'all want to talk about sexual shit that grown-ass people was doing behind closed door. None of your fucking business. It's not hurting you in no way, but the music is, and we're not talking about that. Everything's a fucking joke. I've never seen a joke, a con, work continuously on the same people for so fucking long. We so stupid as a people, keep falling for this dumbass shit year after year. And it's a joke to y'all. It's a fucking joke, a running gag, all these Diddy memes and Diddy jokes going on around. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, the dude tried to do some stuff and it backfired on him possibly. That could be the reason. It could be a distraction. Who fucking knows? But when you dig deeper and look at the shit seriously, you see what's going on and what's been going on. Obviously, everybody's coming out saying he's been doing this for years. That was his job. He's been told to do this, obviously. That's why he's where he is. And if he did backbite those white people and, go behind their back and do some stuff, and this is why all this stuff was coming down on him, he know better. That's what he get. It is what it is. But for decades, this dude has been aiding in the destruction of the black community. So you got to look at it. One, you ever wonder why all these people who supposedly did sexual shit with Diddy in exchange for fucking money or status or what have you. How come a lot of these guys is not even signed to Bad Boys? If they did this stuff, how come they wasn't signed to Bad Boys? How come they got record deals with other record labels? Right? Meek is signed with Maybach. Right? If he did something, like, well, he wasn't signed to Bad Boys. What is that about? Usher, not signed to Bad Boys. All these other artists who supposedly did stuff with Diddy in exchange for money, in exchange for record deals, what have you, a lot of these dudes are not even signed with Bad Boys. Not signed to Diddy label, they're signed to other labels, which is telling you that's what his job is. That's what they had him doing. It's not a coincidence his mansion is supposedly connected to the Playboy Mansion where Hugh Hefner was doing the same type shit. All that stuff came out. He was doing the same thing, had videos and tapes on people. It's a scam that's been run for a long time. And Diddy been doing it. And it's been keeping black people in check because you have to. So we keep walking around talking about the industry this, the industry that, the problems with the industry. We can't own it. They own it. They're not letting us do what we want to do. That's how they're keeping these people in check. They got them doing crazy shit. And then some of them flat out just don't give a shit. They don't care. But they're getting stuff on people so they can keep their fucking mouth shut one way or another. So this is what's going on. This is what he's been doing for decades. And it's clear to see that's obviously what it is when you step back and listen to everything that people are saying and look at the picture. That's what he's been doing. He's supposedly been doing this stuff for decades, but all of a sudden now, when this legal issue happens with Ciroc or what have you, with the company he was partners with or was working with, when all this legal stuff started happening, when he came out talking about a black political party and pushing black people towards this way and everything, now all of a sudden they want to fold on him when he's been doing this stuff for a long time. So people have been talking about this shit for decades. But now all of a sudden, around the same time this stuff's going on, this is happening. So that's what it is. It's how to keep the people in check. Plain and simple. Artists they do certain things and they get off the hook, right? A lot of these rappers who getting locked up and everything and they mysteriously get out, shit that would never be done for a regular person. You get booked for certain things, you will be in jail for a long time. T.I. with those guns, Lil Wayne with those guns and drugs, dudes is out on the street. A lot of these guys get arrested for stuff that they should be behind bars for years for, but that's how they get them. That's how they get them. They keep their mouth shut, and that's how it is, how it goes. So again, a lot of these artists at this point don't care. Some of them will willingly, if Satan was real, they will willingly sell their soul to Satan for fame and fortune, and some regular people will as well. But they've been using them to keep shit under wraps for a long time, and that's what that shit really is about. And we're not even looking at that. They just laughing and joking about some sexual shit. I don't care what a person's sexual preference is or what have you. Do whatever the fuck you do. How is this information going to benefit the black community at all? People just laughing at it. It's just funny to people. It is what it is. Like, what's the big deal? Like, it's deeper shit to really think about when you step back and look at the whole thing. You know, what happened with Kim, what happened with Tupac, Biggie, all these deaths surrounding this dude. But y'all want to laugh at gay shit. There's a lot of deep shit surrounding dude that's clearly, suspect on his part. So you got to step back and look at it. This dude has been put in that position to drive the direction of hip hop for a long time, to keep people in check. Him, Jay-Z, and all those people at the top, all these people who making moves, who putting people in positions, this is what they've been doing for a long time. All the tapes that's coming out, all the parties, that's what all the parties is about. Getting all these artists in here, keeping them under wraps. Plain and simple. Stuff has been going on for a long time, and it's all against you. Plain and simple. To keep you stupid, keep you following the music and the trends and everything, to keep you blinded, to keep you away from being conscious and understanding what's really going on. People's minds so wrapped up in the music and the culture, they don't give a damn about shit. They don't care about their kids being destroyed by it, and none of that. People are more obsessed with these artists than they are with themselves, with their spouses or what have you. Just people just so caught up in it. It's crazy. It's a drug. And people are not stepping back and looking at what these people have been doing for a long time. But yeah, really do critical thinking on that and think deeply about it. But I'm going to get into this rundown video. My bad for going over too long. Let's get into this video. Check it out. Really go back and pay attention to one of the main reasons why they wanted to deter us from, understanding the afterlife and understanding what that all entails. So when you look at the whole Abrahamic religions and understand that you obey the rules of the God or the rules of the religion, go to heaven. If not, you burn in hell forever. Now, in Islam, everybody's going to spend some time in hell, to atone for sins, but it's not eternity like in Christianity. Christians believe, of course, you burn forever. You don't make it to heaven, you go to hell, you burn forever, eternity. So a lot of people are real fearful of the prospect of, burning in hell for all eternity and having, experiencing eternal pain, which when you think about it is retarded, stupid. Now, the whole thing is one. I mean, we got to think about it on a physical level, that once you slam your hand in the door, right, the sensory receptors in your skin basically sends a message to your nerve fibers, which basically sends a message to your spine, that sends a message to your brain that process the information as pain. When you think about it, it's something that's really amazing because it's almost like an alert system, alarm system, basically warning you that this is something that can destroy the body, that can harm the body, and you should be, wary of it. So that's pain. And pain, as we're talking about it, it's a process that can only be felt in a physical form. You need a physical body to experience what we know as pain. So to have the notion that you can experience pain for eternity in the spiritual body is ridiculous. If you take a piece of paper, throw it into a bucket of fire, it's going to burn, it's going to disintegrate into nothing. Same thing is going to happen to your flesh and skin and bones if the fire is right, just like it does in a cremation furnace. Put a body in there, burns it to ashes, burns it to nothingness eventually. So the whole prospect of an eternal pain, in spiritual form is weird when you need a body to experience that type of pain when you really understand it. So, the concept is retarded, and you had, priests or what have you come out and say that hell, it was a creation of the church to basically scare people. So definitely don't want people worrying about that, but you need to understand why that was put forth, and that, anything dealing with the afterlife or eternity is something they want you to only understand, their way. Now, the concept of a hell and burning forever is not something that you find in the ancient world. It's not something that they talked about. We understand about the underworld and that whole thing with the ancient Egyptians, basically talking about when you understand coming back here. None of them was trying to give you any kind of understanding that you will burn forever in the hellfire and there's this demon, devil, Satan, or what have you. It doesn't exist. So, you have to understand the whole prospect of reincarnation, as the ancients put it, was something that they believe. Now, reincarnation, a lot of people today laugh at it. They don't, think about it at all as far as being something that's possible. But everybody in the ancient world spoke of reincarnation, and it's just there. Can't ignore it. Now, reincarnation comes from the Latin word. Well, it means in Latin to enter the skin again. Now, the ancient Greeks believed in reincarnation. Pythagoras and the Greeks basically called it metempsychosis, which basically comes from the Greek word empsychon. Now, empsychon basically means to put a soul into. So it's there. It's something that was talked about. It's something that we got to look at. And, when you begin to, study the ancient world of Kemet and Sumerians and everybody else, this is what you're going to see. And it's something that pertains to us, and it's something that is being hidden from us because they don't want us to really understand the full dealings and workings of reincarnation and how to escape it. So it's a lot to it. Now, we know Pythagoras studied in ancient Kemet. He believed in reincarnation, as well as Pluto, Socrates, and a bunch of other Greek historians talked about reincarnation. And as I said, they had a word for it. So we understand the whole thing about ancient Greece, how they gave us the Bible. And when you really get your head around all the bull crap that it's talking about and really pay attention to what I've been explaining about the book, it's giving you reincarnation, plain and simple. So when Jesus is talking to Nicodemus, he means exactly what he's saying in that whole passage as far as reincarnation and the kingdom of heaven being a woman's womb, as we talked about. And that's getting the Bible and Christianity finally explained. But it's a lot you got to really pick up and understand with those verses when he's talking to Nicodemus. So it says in John 3, this is one that says, there was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a ruler of the Jews. And the same came to Jesus by night and said unto him, Rabbi, we know that thou art a teacher come from God, For no man can do these miracles that thou doest, except God be with him. Now, pay attention to what Jesus says, because he's basically not even really answering the question. So we got to pay attention to why would he say this. Jesus answered and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of heaven. That's not what he asked. He said you got to have God with you in order to do the miracles that you've done. So why is he talking about you can't even come into the kingdom unless you be born again? Nicodemus saith unto him, How can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter the second time into his mother's womb and be born? Jesus basically reiterates and says, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of God. That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Marvel not that I said unto thee, Ye must be born again. The wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but canst not tell whence it cometh, and whithereth it goeth. So is everyone that is born of the Spirit. Nicodemus answered and said unto him, How can these things be? Jesus answered and said unto him, Art thou a master of Israel, and knoweth not these things? Verily, verily, I say unto thee, we speak that we do know, and testify that we have seen, and ye receive not our witness? If I have told you earthly things, and ye believe not, how shall you believe if I tell you of heavenly things? And no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that cometh down from heaven. Think about that. Even the Son of Man, which is in heaven. And here's the key. And even as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whatsoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. Now, what does Moses and the serpent have to do with what he's talking about? What happened with the serpent? Moses prayed and asked God to basically heal the people that was bitten by these serpents because they died. And he said, hey, make a staff, basically put this serpent on it, and that anybody who sees it will be healed. And we know it's talking about the medical caduceus, and that it's the symbol for healing, but it's much more to it. We know the serpents deal with kundalini, and that whole image of the caduceus is talking about kundalini energy rising to the pineal gland, which is what? The key, the power that's going to basically give you eternal life. It's going to help you transcend, the physical form and basically go into your spiritual form and live eternally, as we'll get into. But it's giving it to you right there. Now, one of the keys to it is really understanding this whole concept between the serpents and us, which is why, as I said, the reptilians or the dinosaurs, whatever you want to call them, which we're going to break that down and explain it more. It's more to this. Plays a major role that a lot of people is not seeing. So in a lot of verses, you got to be able to pay attention to exactly what it's talking about. Negate everything that they told you in church. He's giving it to you right there, saying you have to be born again to enter into the kingdom of heaven, because it's a joke. It's the woman's womb. It's something more to it to basically transcend. You need basically what Moses was talking about. You get what I'm saying? Two separate things he's talking about. Talking about being born again. That's one. Coming back into the physical form, and then the spiritual, which is why he separated the two and he was clear, which is born of flesh is flesh, spirit is spirit. Because whether you understand or not, it's a rebirth process all over again in both ways. So spiritual at first, we are born in flesh. You die, you go back spiritual, but then you have a decision to make. Are you going to stay spiritual? We're going to go back to flesh and reincarnate. So this is why he's giving you the two instances of flesh is flesh, spirit is spirit, born again, flesh. As Moses, the serpent, lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so shall the Son of Man. You, us as well, have to be lifted up the same way with the kundalini energy, either making a choice to be flesh or spirit. So now when we're talking about kundalini rising in the spine, to bring it into the Egyptian mythology and what the Egyptians talked about, we know this is the Jed pillar, Asar or Osiris, whatever you want to call him. So now you have to understand where Osiris's body was put back together was in the Delta, in Lower Egypt. So basically he was put back together in a place called Jadu, which is basically where they get the Jed from, which is the original name for Osiris. Before he got his physical body and form, he was represented by this symbol that looked like a spine, or, the vertebrae on the spine. And he was called the Jed. And this was where he was put back together in Jadu, which is in Lower Egypt. So now in Jadu, they have a festival ceremony of the rising pillar, whatever you want to call it. And it basically represents the eve of the agricultural new year. They call it the Korax or the Chorax festival. It's from December 10th to January 8th. January 8th would basically mark the eve of the agricultural new year. The next day will be considered Pert, which Pert means going forth. So the ancient Egyptians looked at this time where you had the flood waters basically start to recede and the land begin to come up out of the waters again. And they called it Pert Asar Neb Jadu. Pert Asar Neb Jadu. And it basically means House of Osiris. So they basically were celebrating the eve, or, the beginning of the harvest, the festival where things are starting to grow, food is starting to grow, agriculture is beginning to be seen, the grass is beginning to come up out of the flood waters or the waters or what have you. And this was something that they celebrated. Another reason why you have the whole celebration of the water lilies basically springing up out of the darkness of the water and basically blooming on top, which is also a representation of Asar, Osiris, because it's showing basically what he represented back then, which was the new harvest. And the reason why Osiris was green is because of this. He originally having to do, or what they understood, they always, put him with agriculture and, life and death or what have you. But this is one of the reasons why he was green. But you got to understand, Osiris represents, life, death, that cycle, rebirth, ascension unto the gods, basically into the next phase of existence or what have you. Osiris represents all of that. Anything that has to do with the cycle of reincarnation, with life, death, ascension, or what have you, it's Asar, which is why they put him, on top. So you got to understand what he deals with, and everything that's pertaining to him, you're going to see it's going to have some facet of either agriculture or, spiritual ascension or the wheel of reincarnation or what have you, which is why a lot of people never really paid attention. When you look at the Jed pillar, the top you have the vertebrae or the spine, but look at the bottom base. The bottom is basically representing the tree, the trunk of a tree coming out of the ground. That's how it looks. So you have both representations of the tree and the spine, basically giving you the tree of life when you really understand what it's talking about. So it's all right there, all in Osiris itself, dealing with so much. So the Korax festival was basically that, and them basically celebrating the growth of the new harvest. This is where a lot of people believe Christmas really began, because what they would do was you would have these shaped body shapes of Osiris, and they're doing with different types of bodies, where they would basically put in mud, barley, and what have you, and it would grow these trees. And this is something that they would celebrate. And this is where a lot of people believe the pagans stole the idea of worshiping the trees and worshiping the roots, plants, and what have you from this Korax festival that the ancient Egyptians was doing long before we ever heard of Christmas, or pagans for that matter. So this is where it's believed to have begun. You have the date, again, December 10th, January 8th, right around that time we got Christmas or what have you. All this stuff was going on around that time pertaining to the ancient Egyptians and not the, Greeks or pagans or what have you. This is where they got the concept from, when you understand the celebration of any type of harvest or anything like that begin there. And this is what the pagans and everybody else was really into, that the Druids, what have you, was into these types of festivals. So you got to understand, when you're talking about Kundalini rising and this whole process, same thing Jesus is talking about in the Bible, we're talking about two different processes that's taking place at death. You have two cycles that's going to occur. Well, one out of the cycles is going to occur. They're going to either reincarnate, come back to the physical, or you're going to move forward into the spiritual. And that's what it's representing with Kundalini energy. The Caduceus, the two serpents representing the dualistic nature. Remember, we're talking about dualism here. You have spiritual, physical. You get it. So this is why it's two different cycles. One cycle of
flesh, one cycle of spirituality, which is basically what Jesus is talking about in the Bible when he's saying, you have the flesh is flesh, spirit is spirit. Now, Osiris represents the mastery of those cycles, plain and simple. That's what you got to understand, the master of that cycle. And when you look at the Book of the Dead, remember, we talked about this. You have the Book of the Dead with Ani. And what happened when Annie passes judgment? Remember, judgment of the heart, truth, ma'at, plain and simple, which when you really understand, your heart is both on this physical realm, spiritual and physical at the same time, because your heart generates that magnetic field, that energy, spiritual, and it's flesh. It's dual. It's powerful when you really understand. But remember, when Ani passes through judgment and makes it, to Asar, he's called the Osiris, or Asar Ani, or Osiris Ani, having the Osiris name before his name, basically saying he mastered, same thing the Kabbalist is talking about, mastering the Malakuf, the physical level, but him as well as the spiritual. He mastered it. He moved forward. So you have to look at the cycles and look at what it's talking about and how it's all basically giving you Osiris when you understand. It's going to make a lot more sense later. So you have Bible, Jesus telling you, you got to be reborn, or you got to be as what Moses did, the medical caduceus, the Kundalini energy with the serpents, and you got to choose. And the whole thing is having the power and the knowledge to basically make it to even have the opportunity to choose. If not, it's going to be chosen for you, basically. So now this is all in the pyramid text, and it's saying here, this is utterance 321. It says to say the words, O you, whose back is on his back, bring to Unis. One of the reasons why I went to Egypt to go to Unis, another reason why I'll talk about later. Bring to Unis the offering mill, which is on the back of Osiris, so that Unis may ascend on it to heaven, which we know that's talking about biblical heaven. That's just how they translated the word. So that Unis may serve as Cartier guardian protector or protection to Re in the sky. So now we understand so many people talking about, meditation and Kundalini rising and how meditation helps out with that. And we see the dragon symbology everywhere, especially in the caduceus and with Kundalini rising, which is basically, two serpent dragons that represent those things. But we see esoterically, dragons represent immortality. They represent the cycle of life and death. And we see it in so many different places with Ouroboros, which we'll talk about. And, the wheel of reincarnation, usually represented with a dragon on the outer part of it. But we see the symbology in so many different places, having the dragon esoterically represent immortality, which is basically really giving us a major clue into the fact that we're seeing it everywhere. We're seeing the dragon symbology in the Bible. We're seeing it in ancient Kemet, which we're going to get into, and what it's pertaining to. So now, before we get into all this, let me give you my theory on all of this, because my research we're going to talk about in a second. But when you look at it, we know the ancient Egyptians was basically the first alchemists. They were into alchemy. And when you understand alchemy, which we'll talk about in a second as well, you understand that there are different types of, alchemy and different types of transmutations or agendas or goals you would have with alchemy, not just about base metals and gold or what have you. So we understand that. So paying attention, doing the research and looking at it, it seems as if the ancient Egyptians developed the elixir of life, which is one of the things you hear about in alchemy with the whole philosopher's stone and all that stuff. But it seems as if they did it. One of the things I want you to consider is the existence of something means it had to exist. And we have imaginations, of course, but the concept of something had to come from somewhere. So far as we go back, we're seeing this stuff. And I want to also point out, the ancient Egyptians wasn't into all that. I mean, they didn't put on plays and shows and all that kind of stuff to really lie about something that is this outrageous. This is something that they really talked about. So from my research, we see that they were into alchemy. I believe that they discovered this elixir that either granted immortality or, longevity or something to that effect. You know, it either healed, it did something, and that they had it, and it was only, you know, given access to by the kings, and it was made by the women priests or the women rulers. Now, in the Egyptian mythology, you would see those rulers or those gods, those women gods, represented by, you know, the gods of Egypt, and not a person that we could point to in ancient history. But you have Hathor, and you have Hathor in so many different instances and different depictions holding the pots, which we're going to also talk about in a second, that's dealing with this elixir. Now, me and many other people believe that this is one of the reasons why ancient Kemet was taken down, is because they did have this elixir, that they did have this secret, and people wanted it. People attacked Kemet a lot for it, and Kemet had a different reason why they had it, whatever that was, but they didn't want to really give it out. I don't believe so to just anybody. And as I said, the pharaohs was the only one who was supposed to have access to this elixir. So you have that. But I also believe, and from my research, that they could only prepare this elixir, whatever you want to call it, with the aid of these dragons. I know it's going to sound crazy, but y'all know me. I always bring my proof. But that's what it seems. This is just me giving you my theory, not giving you actual research, but what I believe and what I'm seeing as far as doing the research. And my theory is that, exactly, that you read about this elixir they had for the plants, to make the plants grow big or make, you know, real crazy vegetation patches or what have you. That was one thing. And that has to do with Osiris as well. But the one about immortality or about longevity, and I believe it's in the Bible as well when you get into the whole Lazarus thing, what they was talking about, and all of that. You know, they stole little pieces from Kemet when they seen what they was doing and put it in the Bible, just like they did with this whole thing with Osiris and, you know, the serpent or what have you. That's basically talking about Osiris with Moses. And we can easily get the hard part out of the way. You know, the spooky part, which is basically the existence of these dragons in ancient Kemet, because they would have to be there in order for them to basically make this stuff. So the hard part we can get out the way easily with the existence of dragons or dinosaurs in ancient Kemet. It has been proven. Now, we talked about this in Mystery School 5. I talked about this, about how they can prove the existence of dinosaurs in ancient Kemet, that they talk about dinosaurs or dragons in pyramid texts. We'll get into this in a second. But, you know, it has been proven. And it's one of the things, of course, we won't see on mainstream media in America, but it's been talked about and shown over there. Now, it says here, and of course, they want to use the existence of dinosaurs to say that they helped build the pyramids, which is crazy. Cairo, Egypt, a team of archaeologists at the University of Cairo, led by Egyptologist Nabir Ibn al-Samud, has uncovered ancient papyri and a number of stone palettes dating back to 3500 BCE, which could prove ancient Egyptians may have lived amongst dinosaurs. And they basically say down here that they would dismiss this claim if he wasn't such a well-known, you know, Egyptologist. And it says here, I understand, this is what he's saying. He said, I understand our present view of human history is completely different from what we are proposing, but based on these ancient papyri, we must consider the possibility that dinosaurs may have lived amongst ancient Egyptians and were possibly tamed to carry huge blocks that compose the pyramids. And they citing the Narma palette, which is real. This is one of the oldest artifacts in world history, period. It's real. And we see this. And it's no other animal we can pertain that to looks dinosaur-like. There are a lot of animals that are extinct and we don't know what actually existed. And it's one of the big things. One of the big things that they are not talking about is the existence or the pyramid text talking about the existence of these beasts or dragons, serpents, or what have you. It's all in the pyramid text. It's all throughout Kemet, them talking about these serpent dragons. And basically here it is. They even classify them in different groups, you know, hybrids and drake and different types of dragons. When you look at the pyramid text, it's right in there. I mean, we got to look at one talking about Wajet, which is a serpent. And the ancient Egyptians had a lot of, serpent deities in their mythologies. It's one of the reasons why I went to Kemet last year to really see for myself wasn't really talking about this, and talk to the guys that was there for them to point it out to see in the pyramid text, was they really actually talking about serpent dragons? And clear as day, they were. And it's something that nobody's really, talking about, because one, when you look up Ouroboros and the whole history of it, comes from ancient Kemet. It comes from the pyramid text of Unis, which is why I went there, and that's where they found it. Now, it's saying this is basically the origin. Its origin goes back to ancient Egypt and ancient Greece. Originally, its first use was in the emblematic serpent that was found in the hieroglyphics that was in the sarcophagus chamber of the pyramid of Unis. And here I am right there in that chamber. It is also used in the Nordic mythology as part of the concept of the story of the serpent Jormungandr. Now, a lot of you have been, hearing about the pyramid text and hearing about ancient Kemet and studying the pyramid text and everything like that for years. None of you have really heard people really expand upon the existence of serpent dragons or dragons in the pyramid text. It's just not something that you hear about because people don't want to be known as, somebody talking about something spooky or far-fetched, in their videos. I'm a real researcher. I really do this. I be up for days researching, trying to figure this stuff out because I'm obsessed with it. I'm just keep it real. But it's good for us to have this recording of this information and pass it down to each other. We have to know they left this stuff for us to put together, and we're not doing it. And, somebody has to figure this stuff out. But you have this dragon symbology everywhere. And more than, it pertaining to, alchemy or what have you, with the dragons, the main thing that you're getting when you do the research is the connection between these dragons and women. It's just there. Even when I talked about Maria Gambudis, when she was founding the whole civilizations with just women, they always had this connection. The person that was considered the great mother was always buried with this, figurine of a serpent dragon, or the transition from this reptilian to a human. Remember, I showed that in one of my videos, but it was there, and it's always this connection. So one of the things you got to realize, long before, the Salem witch trial, the so-called Salem witch trial, women was being called, there were witches or whatever like that. Witches did not originate with Salem. Just let me say that. You had in ancient Kemet, the alchemists, which were women. And that's where the whole thing sprang from the women in ancient Kemet being alchemists, being the ones who made these elixirs and potions or what have you. Long before any so-called witch brewed anything, they was doing it in ancient Kemet. So witches and that whole concept that began with some white women in Salem, they begin in ancient Kemet. And you can see clear as day in the hieroglyphics. Pay attention to what she's holding. They look like cauldron pots. Look at the flames right here. These are flames where these pots are going to go on. That's where the whole concept and visualization of a cauldron on fire comes from, right from the hieroglyphics, right in the reliefs, because this is what the woman was doing. They was brewing this stuff. And I believe there is a major connection with the dragons and them that they don't want us to connect. So now let me give you alchemy real quick. It says, alchemy as a form of scientific and philosophic practice, and is a kind of a, combination of magic and science. And the base philosophy of alchemy is the study of transforming something into something else, basically. Origins of alchemy date back to ancient China and Egypt, became popular in Europe during the Middle Ages. The original main purpose of studying alchemy was to be able to turn normal metals, base metals, into silver and gold through transmutation by creating and using the philosopher's stone. This is all metaphorical when you really understand it as well. The more magical side of alchemy is some other goals, such as achieving immortality through discovering the elixir of life. I've talked about Egyptian high alchemy. Everybody is known. This is where it's coming from. And we know ancient Kemet, ancient China. When you go to ancient China still, just like in Thailand and many other ancient places, India as well, we find the ancient civilizations that did something one way, and all that changed at some point, which we'll get into. But that is there. That is something we can't ignore, the existence of the Egyptians and Egyptian high alchemy and what they were really into, and that the process was more than just gold. And if you are understanding the Egyptian civilization and knowing that there wasn't really about having gold and being super wealthy, whatever like that. They used gold for what they used gold for. Then, they had to also use the practice of alchemy for spiritual use as well.